Welcome students, I am Professor Stacia Ashmore, Austin Community College. I've been teaching with ACC since 2001. I love it, and I love teaching real estate. I'm very passionate about the industry. What I really want my students to take away from this class is how many opportunities there really are in real estate. I'm conducting a series of interviews with some different folks in different areas, and today I'm talking with Kerry Pearson. Kerry is a mortgage loan officer, and she has been for quite some time. And I know this because I've worked with her for quite some time with several different clients on several different houses.
Some challenges,
of them were easy.
some a dream.
Exactly. So, Kerry, tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to become a mortgage loan officer.
Hey, y'all. Congratulations on getting your real estate license. I initially fell into the mortgage industry. What kept me in the mortgage industry was a balance between personal satisfaction, continued interest, and challenges. The mortgage industry changes with some regularity, especially these days. But the personal satisfaction I get from helping families get into their homes, that keeps me going.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the process of becoming a mortgage loan officer. What steps did you have to go through as far as, are there specific courses that you have to take, licensing, so forth?
There are. Today we are licensed through the National Mortgage Licensing System. And initially, I think you have to take 18 hours, but we have to take continuing education. We have to take 8 hours every year and retest.
Did you work as a loan processor before you became a mortgage loan officer?
I did. I worked in processing for 15 plus years.
Okay.
And in processing, what you do, is the backbone. You do the paperwork. You do all of the checks and balances. You submit the files to underwriting. So yeah, I did that for a good 15 plus years, and I was an underwriter for Freddie Mac for a couple of years as well.
Okay, that's very interesting.
And I worked in wholesale for a little bit too.
All right, tell us what that means.
Back in the day when there was more mortgage brokers, I worked for a lender and I serviced mortgage brokers. I took their loans in to get them funded.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the mortgage loan process. When you meet with a client, what's the first thing that you're going to do dealing with that client?
The first thing that I do dealing with a client is ask them where the property that they're looking at, how does that fit in your overall life plan, in your overall financial goals? Where do you see yourself with this home in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? Because that will determine the type of loan product that we're going to look for.
Okay.
And then we take it from there.
And from my understanding on how this works is that there are different types of loan products depending on where the property is located as well. So for example, some counties have down payment assistance programs available where there might not have them in other areas. Is that right?
There are down payment assistance products available statewide. Some of them are funded by counties, some of them are funded by states. If they're county, they're available in one county and they're not in another. USDA is in certain areas, the more rural areas, and it's not in others. So there is down payment assistance available. It's just which down payment assistance
they qualify for and the property qualifies for.
Right. And,
okay.
Yeah, where you're at.
So there are a lot of variables that go into what type of interest rate the person might qualify for, what types of loan products are available, what type of down payment assistance programs are available. And of course, there is a plethora of products available for first-time home buyers that may not be available for subsequent purchases.
Yeah, particularly when it comes to down payment assistance. But yeah, there is a plethora of products, period.
Okay.
Some we use, as a standard, conventional FHA. And then there are some alternative lines that we don't use as much, but that are always available.
So talking a little bit about FHA and VA and conventional, what is the difference between those types of loans?
FHA and VA are government backed. They're government guaranteed, whether it's the Veterans Administration or the Federal Housing Administration. Conventional mortgages are backed by the secondary market.
Okay. And
Fannie and
FHA and VA are going to be very buyer specific because not everyone can qualify for a VA because you have to be a
You have to
veteran
be a
or
veteran.
military to do that. And with FHA, you have certain income specifications.
No, not necessarily income specifications. FHA, and standard conventional, they have county loan limits.
Okay.
So, our county loan limit is a little bit different, say, than something in San Antonio.
Okay.
So those are a little bit different.
Where do you find your clients typically? How do you meet with folks who are in need of loan products?
Through realtors such as yourselves, as well as past client base.
Okay.
And of course, networking and, people that,
So
I
it's
meet
a
in the
big
neighborhood.
referral type of business.
I am 100% referral based.
So what types of events do you normally go to? I know you are a part of a
I am a part of a networking group.
networking group. There we
And
go.
we've been together for over a year. As far as meetups and networking groups, that's the only one that I do.
Okay.
I'm a very person to person. I'm not a scatter marketer. I meet with people and develop relationships and work it that way over time. And I keep my relationships. You and I have known each other for a number of years. So that's the way I do it.
So
that works for me.
for those of you who might not know what a meetup is, there are actually apps that you can download on your phone that can put you in contact with folks who are looking to meet in groups. Typically, there are rules and there are fees and dues for these groups. They generally meet at a restaurant or a location where you can have some services there. And I know I've been to a few of them, but I never actually joined any of them. And they're very interesting. Don't get me wrong on that. It just wasn't really for me.
Right. It's just not mine.
But for some folks, they really find it very beneficial to have a specific group of people that you meet with about every couple of weeks or once a month?
My group, we meet once a week.
Once a week.
And
Okay.
we are very specific in that our intention is to meet with one another. We call it, one-to-one, outside of the group to get to know each individual so that I can refer confidently, for example, to my homeowner's insurance guy. There's a variety of professions.
And there are generally requirements for each group that you can only have one of each type of profession, specifically
yeah.
to keep the competition a little bit lower, I think.
And to increase the quality of the relationships.
So for a lot of you, I strongly encourage my students to get to know one another and to network within your groups so that you have that support system. This is just another example of how you can develop a support system, because in this business and in any kind of business that is a self-employed based business, it's really important to set up a group of people that you can call for information, for referrals, for moral support, for
Anything.
whatever. So
I have a group of people that I can refer my clients to, whether they need a good accountant, or maybe they need a good bankruptcy attorney, or they need an electrician or a plumber. I make it my job to have I call it my panel, my people, that I can feel good about referring my clients, your clients,
right
to, and I know that they're gonna get taken care of because I've developed those relationships.
Tell me a little bit about what types of partners you tend to look for in this industry. I mean, I know you have to have a group of people that you turn to. I know that, for example, there used to be a group called appraisers that you're no longer allowed to really associate with.
That's
and
a
I
whole
really
separate
miss
ring.
that.
Me
I'm
too.
telling you.
Me too.
But you do have to have surveyors that you can contact in a pinch, because sometimes you don't know you need a survey until the last minute. So what other types of professions do you reach out to typically for assistance in this particular industry?
More often than not, for me, I'm going to be reaching out to my title person. She is a person who has been in the industry a few decades, like myself, and I know that she can deal with little freak title issues that that you can run into
Pop
sometimes
up last minute
in the outskirts. Right. I do have a survey company that I'll recommend. but typically it's going to be the title.
Tell me a little bit about the process. Now we have a buyer that's been pre-qualified. We have a property, contract has been accepted, and go.
So with the contract accepted, they clearly already have the pre-approval letter. The first thing that I do is I get them locked in on their interest rate on the program, because before we send out a pre-approval letter, we've determined what program we're going to use. We've gotten them approved automated underwriting on that particular program. So I'm going to lock their rate, and I'm going to send their disclosures.
How often do the rates change?
Currently, they are changing daily, often multiple times a day.
And are they fluctuating greatly or just by 1/8%?
An eighth or so.
Once you've locked in the rate and you start processing, or you send it off to your processors, what is it you're looking for to really get that loan approved, all the final documentation? I mean, I know that there has to be a survey if one is not already available.
If one's not already available, the title company is going to order the survey.
Okay.
We, as a lender, what we're going to do is we're going to do employment verifications. We're going to do asset verifications if we need additional verification. And a lot of that we do automated. Sometimes we do hard copies of stuff.
And
we have a variety of fraud
have
searches that we do.
How often do you have to pull IRS statements?
It depends on the program. I don't know, 50% of the time we're going to verify.
Through the IRS. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so the title company orders the survey. Mm-hmm. At what point do you order the appraisal?
As soon as it goes into processing.
Okay.
That's the setup person orders the appraisal, they order the title, all the title work, and like I said, various fraud searches and stuff.
Okay. And then there are laws that specify that the buyer must receive all of the documentation prior to closing at least how many days?
3 days.
3 days. And does that include the day of closing?
No, it includes the day of disclosure. So if we send it out on Wednesday, as long as the buyer opens their closing disclosure, Wednesday will count. So then we would go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we would close on Monday.
So what would be, assuming that everybody in this class decides to become a real estate agent or a broker, mm-hmm. what would be your best advice to them when dealing with a buyer?
Get them pre-qualified before you put them in a car. Every time. Because even the most well-intentioned, most thorough buyer doesn't always know.
And one thing, and this is really horrible to say it out loud, and you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Mm-hmm. There's an old saying, it's called buyers are liars. And it's not even that they mean to be. And it can
Most
be in
don't.
several different ways. For example, this buyer comes up to you and they tell you the perfect house that they want, and you find everything on their list, and then 2 minutes later, like, well, no, that's not really what I want. And you're like, I just found you everything on that list, and that's
exactly
not what you want.
Yep.
And so that's part of it. But also, you know, if someone asks you what your income is, are you exactly positive what your income is?
A lot of people, I mean, just for example, I have an application this morning, and I called him to verify, is that your gross income or is that your net income? He filled it out as his net income. So that's one little thing. You can have a guy who is now receiving commission in addition to his base. He knows he's going to be getting that commission for forever, but we don't. We have to have a 2-year history.
It processes differently. Mm-hmm. Commission and self-employed are
bonus
much
income,
more difficult
overtime
to
income.
prove.
Yep.
And the same with rental
is not-
income as well.
Yep. Yeah, there's
And
there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of variations.
Well,
Every
and
file's different.
what we know to be the truth, it still has to be provable
On paper.
on paper and within the guidelines that are set by people outside of this office. I mean, if it was just between you and me, and you said, this is what it is, and I say, okay,
Life would be so much easier.
that would be. So, what would be your advice to an agent who was dealing with a seller?
I would require a pre-approval letter before I accepted an offer. If I was selling a house, I would find out the three best loan programs that might be available for that specific property, and I
Very
would put
good.
it in the hand of every person that came looking.
And Kerry actually does quite a few open houses. What's the benefit for you to do an open house?
I meet people. I meet buyers. Maybe a lot of them are already pre-approved, but not all of them. And plus, I get to learn a whole lot more about the market that way, because I never get the fun part. I never get to see the house and the backyards and all that stuff. I get
Unless
the numbers.
I'm working with her, because I send her lots of pictures.
I'll do that.
Well, Kerry, I appreciate your time very much,
Thank you.
and I hope that we can have this opportunity to talk again in front of our
Absolutely.
students here.
Absolutely.
And I hope that they
And
understood.
y'all can call me
and-
anytime with questions.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that her information is available for you guys. So thanks very much. And this is the end of the interview with Kerry Pearson.
Thanks and good luck.
Have a good day.